Hi, welcome to Rock and Metal Invasion. My name is Steve. Coming up on this video, I'm going to do a ranking of the album, top 5, and it's going to be for Dio. Now, Dio in the 80s, early 90s, was one of my favourite artists. Now, actually, when I first got into hard rock and metal in the 80s, mid-80s, Dio was one of the first bands that I checked out, and been a big fan ever since then. Now I have to be honest with you and say that the Dio albums post 1980s are not my favourite. So I guess I'll just get straight into number 5 and tell you that number 5, my top 5, remember, is Lock Up the Wolves. Now this actually came out in 1990, but the other 4 are all from the 80s. So for me, the first 4 albums are the best. Now, I guess what's interesting is that there have been a number of other albums since then, and you know, they're not bad albums, but they just don't quite get up to the quality of those first 4 albums. And to be honest with you, Lock Up the Wolves, I like this album, but it's not an exceptional album like the other 4 are. And this is where it got difficult for me, was to then rank those 4 albums. But yeah, and I did. It was for Lock Up the it was a close call between Lock Up the Wolves, and I don't have this one on vinyl, but and Strange Highways. So that was the tough, but one of the tough decisions for me, because I do love Jesus, Mary and the Holy Ghost. It's one of my favourite Dio songs, which is on here, but unfortunately the rest of the album kind of average for me. With this one, Wild One, Hey Angel, I really like those songs. There's just not the consistency like there are, for me anyway, on the other albums that came out prior to Lock Up the Wolves. Alright, so with that in mind, we know my number 5. Number 4, and this was, like I say, very tricky, and just because I'm giving it the number 4 ranking does not mean it's not a great album, and it's Dio Sacred Heart. Now this was his 3rd album, so he's still got Vivian Campbell in the band, and I think most people would say this is a more commercial album, perhaps going for some more mainstream success. Just the keyboards a little bit more in the mix there, but I don't necessarily mind that. Tracks like "Hungry for Heaven" is quite commercial, but I do like it. "Sacred Heart's" a great song, I think. "Rock and Roll Children" is pretty good. Again, though, a bit of keyboards in there. But Dio sounds awesome on it. Vivian Campbell, this is his best work, the work that he did with Dio, and he's done some other great stuff as well, but just the stuff that he did with Dio is just awesome. A good album, very good album, but I'm going to make that one my number 4. And my number 3, and this was a real tough one. In fact, this top 3 is a tricky one for me. Like, I think on another day, the 3 could be number 1, the 2 could be number 3. They could all swap around, I think, to some degree, and I'd probably be okay with that, because they're just, all 3 of these albums are awesome, that I've played and played and played, and still haven't got sick of them too. That's the thing with Dio. Haven't got sick of any of these songs. I could put these albums on now and still really enjoy them, just as much as I did back in the day. So that's, I guess, part of that is, you didn't hear Dio on the radio. I've never heard Dio played on a radio station. Maybe in some countries he was, but where I am here in New Zealand, you just did not hear Dio on the radio. But he had enough popularity, I suppose, and people knew about him through, I guess, Rainbow and Black Sabbath. And once they heard the records, they were like, "Yeah, I'm onto the Dio. I'm a Dio fan." So All these albums, I think, got to platinum. Some did it maybe a little bit better than others. But yeah, always had a good solid following. So, number 3, like I say, these top 3 could change quite easily on another day, but I've decided to go number 3 with Dream Evil. And I will say that when this first came out, because this is the first album without Vivian Campbell, I was perhaps a little bit disappointed. It's grown on me though a lot over the years. Really got appreciation now for songs like Dream Evil. Sunset Superman is quite an unusual song, I thought, and it took me a while to get into it. But it's quite a heavy song. The chorus, although it's just basically him just saying Sunset Superman, just the way he sings it, so powerful. The drumming just sounds awesome. Yeah, so that's really grown on me. And actually, then I look at side 2, and there's some good songs on here on side 2 as well. Sometimes I found a little bit with the Dio albums, strong side 1 and it fades away a little bit, but pretty consistent all throughout. I Could Have Been a Dreamer. I think that was the lead single. I quite like that. When a Woman Cries is the final song on the album, also really good. All the Full Sailed Away, there's a great video for that. Yeah, awesome song. Night People, that's a nice heavy one. So Dio often would kick off his album with like the fast sort of heavy one, and then there'd be a slower song in there as well. In this case, All the Full Sailed Away. Well, at least it starts kind of slow, doesn't it? And then it kind of builds up. Yeah, his vocals are just so awesome. All right, I'm saying that word awesome a lot because, it's just, I'm such a big Dio fan, at least for the 80s. 80s Dio is just fantastic. All right, so what's going to be number 1? Well, you're going to know in a second because I'm going to show you number 2. And number 2 is Last in Line. So this is the second album. A really fantastic follow-up to the first album. Came out in 1984, so just 1 year after the debut. I will say the first side is where the quality songs are for me, and just awesome songs. We rock again that fast kick-ass song to kick off the album, which is awesome. Last in Line is a little bit similar to Holy Diver. Again, sort of starting off slowly and then really kicking into gear. High Speed at Night. It's just at first I thought, it's just a bit of a filler track in a way, just a fast sort of track. I mean, it's okay, but actually it's really grown on me, that one. And One Night in the City might be my favourite Dio song, or would be top 3, top 4 maybe, top 5. It's hard to say because there's so many. But One Night in the City, it's a bit of an underrated song because you don't hear people talk about that very much. But I love that song. The riff on it is awesome. Yeah, so like I said, first side is awesome. Yeah, it's just fantastic. The second side, I think it drops off a little bit, and probably for that reason, I've made that number 2. That album may have more killer songs as far as my go-to kind of songs, but more consistent is you probably already worked out what my number 1 is, the debut. Just every song's great. It came out in 1983. It's unbelievable it came out in 83 because it's not dated at all. I love the artwork. Stand Up and Shout. There's your fast song to kick it all off, rocking hard. Then it kicks into Holy Diver. There's a lot of comparisons between this and Last in Line. Last in Line kicks off with We Rock, and Last in Line, this one, Stand Up and Shout, and then Holy Diver. And they're kind of both similar. They're similar songs. And then Gypsy, Caught in the Middle. I said One Night in the City might be my favourite, but then I'm thinking Don't Talk to Strangers. Ooh, that's probably number 1. I love the way it starts off slowly, and then that guitar riff comes in. Yeah, fantastic song. Like I said, I feel like there's more consistency here because side 2, lots of great tracks on it as well. I know some people may be not a big fan of Rainbow in the Dark, but just because the keyboards are quite prominent on that song, but I like it. Shame on the Night too. Killer way to finish the album. It's just a just a great album from start to finish. So I think I feel pretty good about making that my number one. But like I say, those first 4 albums, just awesome stuff. I'll just show a couple of other things just quickly. So he did release Intermission. I think that came out just after Sacred Heart. It's got live tracks, but it also has Time to Burn, which is the one studio track, and that's a great song too. There's Hide in the Rainbow as well, which is which is a soundtrack song that wasn't on a studio album. So that's another 80s Dio song it's good. That's worth checking out. I did talk about that on my soundtracks video a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that's a good song. I think maybe he didn't release that one. I'll put it on an album because it's got rainbow in the title. Maybe he felt that's enough rainbows. So that's my top 5. I'd be interested to know other people's top 5. I'm pretty sure, because having seen other rankings for Dio, it's most likely going to be a lot of the 80s albums. Now, there's a lot more albums, of course, that came out. Well, not a lot, but there's a few more that came out. Post Strange Highways, and it's great to see that they're now being released on vinyl. You can get them on vinyl now. But I think he didn't quite manage to get back to the awesome sound he had on those first few albums. I'm not quite sure why that was, and that just could be me. But that's just the way I saw things there. But it's still good albums too. We're talking about some just amazing albums. Nothing wrong with this. I've checked out all his other albums as well, and they're good. They just don't match up to the albums that came out in the 80s for me. All right. I'll just quickly also show. Really great to see so much of the Dio stuff coming out now on vinyl. This one I'll just show a few of the live albums that I've got because I'm such a fan of the 80s Dio stuff. If I can get some, I even quite enjoy. And I'm not a big fan of live recordings necessarily, but because it's Dio, the band sounded amazing in concert as well. I do try and pick those up too from time to time. So I've got the Donington. This was on vinyl, but I was slow off the mark to get it, and now it's very pricey to get. But I've got the CD. So this is 83 and 87 Donington live. And then I've kind of got like the sort of 3 different eras, which is quite handy, quite good to have, of Dio live. So this one, it's actually still sealed because I picked it up pretty recently. I've heard it on CD before, and this is the version, the Dio band, which had Doug Aldrich on guitar, and it's got some more newer songs. What's cool about this release is 3 LP vinyl. Side F has some studio tracks from some of his newer albums. So it's got This Is Your Life. So Side F has got This Is Your Life, Fever Dreams, Push, and The Eyes, which are like some of the newer Dio songs. They're some of my favourites. So it was quite handy to get that and get those album tracks on here. And also, just awesome live tracks as well. So there's that one. I got the Live in London, 1993. Now this is when he had Tracy G on guitar. And like I say, I like Strange Highways. There's some good songs. It's got some tracks from that, and it's got Jesus, Mary, and the Holy Ghost, which is just a killer song. So great to have that one, hear that one. And also Finding the Sacred Heart live in Philly, 1986. So good to have a Vivian Campbell live recording as well. And this is probably them, really at the peak of their powers, I think, 1986, or close to it. So some live albums. All right, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you later.